Alright guys, so here's part 2 of the motorcycle gear guide and review type series thing that I'm trying to get together. Um, Second part, gloves, wear them. Alrighty, so obviously that's not going to be the full video. I have two different kinds here. You can see these are a little shorter, and these have kind of a full gauntlet, offer a little bit better protection. They both just so happen to be Sedici brand. It's not that I'm a Sedici fanboy or anything. It's just, for example, this set of Sedici gloves. If I were to get an Alpine Stars or something like that, that were these same style, I would have paid probably double than what I paid for these. So they're cheap. They've been lasting pretty good. I've been having these for close to a year. The gauntlet style ones, and I've been having these shorter ones for probably about 6 or 8 months. And these are the ones that I tend to wear a little bit more because these are kind of warm. What I was trying to get at is gloves, in my opinion, is the second most important piece of motorcycle gear that you can have. First, obviously, being a helmet, and then gloves second, and I'll get to the next pieces as I do them. But, you know, if you're going to wear only a few pieces of gear, gloves and a helmet are minimum. It's, you know, obviously you should wear closed-toed shoes and pants and shit like that, but I'm talking about just motorcycle specific gear items that I would say is a must-have for riding any kind of motorcycle, really. At least gloves and a helmet. That's just my opinion. Take it for what it is. I don't really care. You will not see me riding without gloves and a helmet. So that being said, these just so happen to both be Sedici. You can get whatever brand you want. Just make sure they're a decent quality motorcycle glove. You can see these have little, I don't know if they're actual carbon fiber or just look like carbon fiber bits here. They have a little plastic protection on that knuckle, and then on the actual knuckles of the top of your hand, they have a pretty good sized piece of what looks like carbon fiber. Again, I don't know if that's actual carbon fiber. I don't think it is. And then right here on the gauntlet, so you can get a better look at it, there's a pretty good size, a pretty thick padding right where your wrist bone would be. So these longer gauntlet style gloves are going to offer a lot more protection than those shorter ones. On the inside of the hand too, the leather is a lot thicker in the areas where you would grab things, just to make sure it doesn't wear out as quick. And then here in the palm, you can see it's got another extra piece of reinforced leather, and that's just because that's most likely where your hands would hit in the event of if you're falling and sliding on the road. Your hands will be sliding on your palms, so they have that extra thick leather right here. These are a little bit warm for summer riding, but it's not that big of a deal. You can still definitely wear them in the summertime. They have a little bit of mesh here and there. In between the fingers is actually full leather, so they're not going to breathe quite as good as these other ones here will. But these are an excellent glove from a protection standpoint and from a price standpoint. I'll put the link in the description for both pairs. And they're, simple on and off. You stick your hand in there and Velcro this, tighten around your wrist. Not that big of a deal. But for what you pay for these Sedici gloves, they're great. Like I said, I've been having these for probably about a year, and they're still holding up just fine. These actually have no tears. There's no threads coming up or anything like that. And I believe I paid around between $60 and $70 for these full-length gauntlet-style gloves. And I would have no problems going to a track or something with these, and hopefully I will sometime this winter or spring. Moving on. This is the second pair of motorcycle gloves that I purchased. I have another pair of gloves that's not specific to motorcycles, and I wouldn't recommend that you do that. Again, these are also Sedici, and it's just coincidence because they make a decent product at a decent price point, and that's kind of something that I like to gravitate to. So you don't have the four knuckle protector thing, but I have a feeling that doesn't do much anyway. These are perforated leather. For the most part, you have a small little, I think it's actually like a rubber knuckle protector right here, and then again in here you have some kind of like plasticky, but on these it's under the leather, and you have the short cutoff. And let me see if I can show you where it reaches my wrist, and these are I think a large. So it barely covers that bone, but so it would stop maybe some scraping, but if your wrist bone hits the road, this isn't going to do much as far as like from a cushioning standpoint. But again, these are perforated leather, so they breathe a little bit better than the other full grain, like just ridiculous gloves do. And I find these look a little bit better. I don't really like the look of the gauntlet, but I do like the protection aspect of it. You can see you have a small amount of padding right here on the insides of like where you would have calluses on a working man's hand. That's where your calluses would be, so pretty good impact area. The leather is pretty thick, and I think it would do the trick for most crashes, but I definitely wouldn't want to go down, going a super high speed in these. It is kind of reinforced right here on the palm, where most likely your hand would be hitting the ground, and on the insides of your, like where your calluses would be, reinforced. And you have a little bit of kind of like a little lip right here that extends down below your wrist. I think these you can actually use, like you can use a smartphone with them or something like that, but these are much more comfortable and they breathe a lot better than the long ones do. So that's, there's plenty of different styles, plenty of different brands. I think I only paid like 35 or 40 bucks for these. And again, not Sedici fanboy or anything, they just have a decent product for a fairly low price. So there's those. These are much more breathable, more comfortable. You can see you have a little bit of cloth right here. You have some, well, they are leather in between the fingers. I thought that it was cloth in between the fingers, but I guess not. But you have like this kind of stretchy spandex type. You have this kind of stretchy material on the edges of the glove, and the little holes in the glove actually do help quite a bit. So these are going to be much more comfortable in warm weather. Another thing that I forgot to mention about these, my only issue with these gloves, other than the fact that there's a little bit warm, but that's not that big of a deal, is that, let's see if I can get you a decent shot of this. Right here, along the edges of your fingers, and it's on both sides of each finger, that seam is actually folded inside toward your finger and then sewn. And so it makes like a little edge of material that sticks into your fingers. And even if you're not holding on very tight, that little edge is still going to cause some pressure on your fingers. And these are fit actually better than these do, but that pressure point makes them just a little bit uncomfortable. And I notice whenever I'll take them off, I'll have a blue line on each side of all of my fingers from that inside seam, just putting pressure on my fingers. And even though I'm not holding on very tight, but that's the only qualm with these longer style gloves. Again, better protection, better comfort, different brands and styles and sizes and colors and everything. Just again, gloves is something that I wouldn't ride without, and I recommend that nobody does. But it's your hands. I wouldn't want my hands getting all tore up, especially since it's kind of hard to have a career in most fields without having proper use of your hands for the most part. And for what I do, I need both of my hands to be functioning. So make sure you get you some decent ones. I know they have really, really cheap ones. These are kind of a cheap glove that still is going to give you a decent quality. Just make sure you look at them when you buy them. Make sure that the seams aren't popping off and stuff like that. Just make sure that you have a nice thick, especially on the inside of the glove. You want some good protection there. and maybe on the bones. You don't necessarily have to have the bone protector type pieces, I guess they're called. Um, but it can't hurt to have a little bit of extra cushioning whenever you're flailing about on the road and your bones are hitting the concrete. You know, it can't hurt to have a little bit of extra protection. So that's all I got. As far as for motorcycle gloves, both of these have been pretty good so far. I think the next pair of gloves that I get, I'm gonna just go ahead and get some Alpine Stars, and splurge a little bit because I really do like Alpine Stars gear. But they are fairly expensive. Like I said, especially for these full gauntlet style gloves, you're gonna pay about double for Alpine Stars. But you do get what you pay for, and they are a little bit better quality, but these will do just fine for most people.